Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Chuck Chat. Ugh, it's a tough time out there. I mean, we try to stay motivated, and I can tell you, it's exciting. I saw last night CNN said that we're probably going to have a vaccine, to be ready to administer a vaccine by the end of October, but
wow,
it's a tough time. So this week I want to talk about how to survive a crisis. I've actually really had a passion about writing another book, How to Survive a Crisis, and dealing with, avoiding, getting out of, staying out of depression. And I came in today, I was thinking about this topic yesterday, and I came in today, and your phone ever rang where you're just like, I don't want any more calls, I don't want to deal with it. And I literally felt like smashing my phone against the wall. I literally considered throwing my phone. But then I started thinking about the new iPhone doesn't come out for another month and a half. And I would have to get the existing iPhone, and it's probably not the smartest idea to do. And but right now, when I went through 2009, the banks were just, and by the way, I got some really, really good banks out there, but I got some that aren't so good. And it's tough right now because they want so much equity in deals, and everybody's nervous, and I see tenants, some of our tenants losing their businesses of no fault of their own, and it's Corona's fault. And it's
So Chuck, you mentioned that in 2009, but tell us a little bit more about the struggle that you went with. I know that you've mentioned, after the home building business that you had, some trials that you went through. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it was a tough time. I worked really, really hard for years and years to get my contractor's license and start building homes. And I was building big homes. And I sold a home to a guy, and he went under contract with me, and he didn't pay me. He owed me $1 million. And I didn't have $1 million to be owed. And I ended up getting a lawsuit with him. It took over a year, and that's actually how I got in the development business. I moved on, and I got really depressed. I remember I am a guy who gets up at 5 or 6 in the morning, and I didn't want to get out of bed till 10 a.m. I didn't even want to get out of bed. And that's, I ended up taking the Anthony Robbins personal power course. It got me motivated. But I was so depressed back then, and I felt like something was taken away from me, and it wasn't my fault. Somebody did me wrong. And it was hard, and the whole world's done us all wrong right now. So back in that time, I finally, one day, I watched something on TV. I saw Anthony Robbins' Personal Power. I bought the CD set, and I started to get motivated. And it really makes you realize that, tomorrow's another day. And, the sun will always come up, the sun will come up tomorrow. And it's hard. I know I try to pride myself on being energetic.
I was going to say, you're naturally an optimistic person, so it surprises me to hear that you sunk in such a hole. So is that something that you have to consciously work on every day? Is there a mindset? Do you have anything that shifted your attitude from that point that you learned and now it's just natural to you?
It takes, you have to think about it. It's not, when times are good, I'm naturally a happy person. It's easy to be fun. When times are bad, you have to make yourself, you got to keep doing the things you did even when things are bad. You got to do all the things you did when things were good, but harder. And like today, I came in the office today, and I told you I want to break my phone, and I know it's always solving the problem that's in front of you. Work the problem, solve the problem. And it's like the old saying, do you know how to eat an elephant?
No.
One bite at a time. And it's eating an elephant right now, one bite at a time. There are big problems that you have to solve every little part of those problems. And it's depressing because if you're making money and things are going well, it's easy to be happy. But all of a sudden when it all becomes hard, it is easy to get depressed, and you have to tell yourself, well, life's not always going to be good. It's not always going to be perfect.
No.
And when it's perfect, we think it's always going to be perfect. And I talked a week and a half ago when Pastor Jim was in here that he always said, if you're not in a storm, be prepared you're going in one.
Right.
And right now we're in a storm.
Well, and every successful individual has, and I feel like, I can't think of a good example, maybe you can, of other famous people who have gone through very trying times and have been rock bottom, and they've been able to push through. And I think that's what makes people successful, is that they were able to fight through those hard times.
And you have to not only consider yourself, but others around you. It's like Robin Williams. I always think of his death. What a shameful, suicide that was. And he was such a great actor, such a funny guy. And if he would have just waited until that next day, and all of a sudden it would have been thinking, I can't imagine what I would have done yesterday. Why did I consider that? That you have to have the mentality that as hard as today is, you're going to get through today. And tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow may stink too.
Yeah.
And for me, yesterday stunk and this morning stunk.
No, we're gonna have a good weekend.
But I'm looking forward to the
next
weekend.
Monday,
and you know what? It's like this year stunk.
It's been hard, and you said that to me. You know what? It's gonna be a hard few weeks, Taylor. That is something that if you accept that and you say, I've got to fight through it, then I think it changes. I mean, mental health is so important right now, but to be able to understand that this too shall pass, I think that will get you to the next season of life.
It's true. Right now, I know that this year is going to be a bad year. The rest of the year is going to be a tough year.
It's tough.
Things slow off after Thanksgiving in our business, but I'm looking, actually setting my sights. Like if I go to the dentist, I always think about what am I doing when I get out of the dentist chair going to lunch, because I hate being in the dentist chair and getting my teeth cleaned. I just always get a little stressed out. And so I always think beyond that. And I'm doing the same thing now. I'm thinking beyond the time we're in. I'm thinking next year is going to be good. Yeah. It may not be till spring. It may not be till summer. So then it kind of narrows the window that I've got to fight for 3 months or 5 months or 6 months to get through this.
Right.
And so, yes, I do focus on what's ahead. And sometimes you have to change your pattern. I know the other day you told me you're bummed out. It's hard. I am sending you into battle, and you got 20 opponents against you, and you're going to defeat 2 or 3, and those are the 2 or 3 leases that you're going to get, but you got to fight them all.
Well, and I have said this many times, that the blessing of this hard season that this is my first, recession that I'm experiencing in the work world, and the blessing that comes out of it is I would never have had the discipline that I'm developing right now, or the work ethic that I'm developing right now, out of having to deal with a pandemic and leasing retail in a pandemic, and the trials that come with that, and the struggles of, I have to get pre-leasing for our loans, but saying, there's nothing I can do about this. How can I get it done? And I know that in the future, I will be so thankful for this season, even though it's a really hard season right now.
You'll be able to reflect back. You'll be able to say, I could do stuff then. Of course I can do now. And like you and
I'm sure you think that all the time. If I could handle, 2009, I can handle this.
And like yesterday, we put together a hot list. So if you start looking at the positive, there's a lot of negative stuff to look at, but you have to look at what's positive. And we do. We have a lot of positive stuff going. And yeah, I sat this morning and I said, wow, this feels a lot like 2009. Yeah. But when I look back at 2009, I got through it. Yeah. It was painful, but 2011, 12, 13, 14, the rest of the years have been really good. And if you look at logarithms and things, it's all cyclical.
Yeah.
And whoever would have thought this cycle, this black swan event would have happened.
It's true.
And we think that's hard. There's people in the world who got it so much worse than us. And, and you got to figure out, like yesterday, I remember the night before you said I just had to go. I had to get in the car. I had to get out of the office.
Get out of the office.
You got to create some space. And I did that yesterday. I got in my car and turned up loud music. I floored it. Was going fast. And I was just like, I left for lunch and I didn't come back. Yeah. And I was going to come back and I was still on my phone, but I just needed a mental break.
Well, and that's, you cannot be your best self and perform at high quality unless you take care of yourself and take care of your mental health. I've learned that a lot too, that I can perform better in the office if, I stay late. I'll stay late and work really hard on some days, but if I need to leave at 5, I'm going to leave at 5 and I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a relaxing night. But I'm going to come back and kick butt the next day. You've got to do what you've got to do to take care of yourself and take care of your mental health.
You've got to mentally prepare. I haven't told you this story yet, but this past weekend I was in Austin, Texas, racing Ferraris.
That's right.
and I practiced Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The car was running great. I was all excited about racing, and I had Larry and Dale with me, and we get in the truck in the morning to drive to the racetrack, and I play AC/DC Back in Black. I'm playing the Eagles. I'm playing all these songs to make me push myself to the edge, Top Gun and all these things. And I'm ready. I'm like, guys, I'm in the right mental state. I go run the first lap. I didn't even finish a lap. 3/4 of a lap, the turbo blows. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so they're trying to fix it real quick because we only have 15 minutes to qualify. So I didn't get to qualify, so I was last. And so they get it put back together. And I'm getting ready to do the race, and we do what's called a recon lap. We go one time around the track, and then you do the pace lap. The recon lap, the turbo blows again. So I pull in the pit.
Something that's out of your control.
Completely out of my control. And I pull in the pit, and the guys are going, furiously fast to get it put back together. And they're on the pace lap, and they're coming around, and I'm last, so I could come out of the pit and line up behind them. And they got it fixed just in time. And so I get behind the entire group. I catch up to them. I'm like, great, I'm ready to run this race. I get a half a lap around, the turbo blows again. And so day one, race one, I didn't get to do a single lap. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't the pit crew's fault. It was just the turbo blew.
Well, it's out of your control. Completely out of your control.
I got out of the car. I was furious.
Yeah.
I was upset. I literally wanted to take my toys and go home.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to go home. I was so upset. I was the only one on the track who that happened to. And, so I sat in a chair and I was mad. And I wanted somebody to scream at, but there's really nobody to scream at. It was nobody's fault.
No.
And finally, one of the guys said, let's get a cold beer. And we got a cold beer. And then the owner of Ferrari Orlando came up to me and he said he felt so bad. He ordered me a new turbo, and all my entire pit crew stayed up till 1:30 in the morning to put it in. And so I went back there at 11 o'clock at night and thanked all the guys for working because they were working for me.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
And he told me 99% I think it's working.
Okay.
And so I get up Sunday morning and I qualify 5th or 6th. I qualified in front of 75% of the people, and I ran a great race. The car ran perfectly. I thanked the crew. I didn't win. My friend Justin won again, the one who hit me. And, but Justin ran a great race. He did a good job. But it's just like in today's world. I was, racing Ferraris. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but what I was doing, I was bummed out. I was there. I came all week. I practiced. I worked hard every day.
And you were amped up. You were ready to go.
I was ready to go, and something beyond my control caused me to have a really bad day.
Right.
But the next day was a new day. I had a great day. I enjoyed it, and that's kind of part of the message I want to send this week is you've got to look forward to tomorrow, and tomorrow may not be for 150 days or 120 days, but we want to live a long life. We hope we get the blessing to live a long time. And these times right now, I've talked about COVID several times, and it's just gotten really painful. It's gotten painful. The tenants are experiencing pain. The banks are fearful that developers aren't going to pay them. We've got to put in extra equity, and I'm pouring money into deals to keep them going because I think it's the right thing. Hopefully my gut's right. And it's just a scary time right now.
It is. Well, and it's interesting that you said when you were racing that day you had built so much, excitement and motivation, and you were going to have the best race of your life, it sounded like, and then something out of your control happened. But if we can take that stamina that we have in the hard times of just accepting this is out of my control and bring it into the good times, how much better of a race are you going to have in the good times when everything does go well? And I think about that too. I'm like, if I can carry what I'm developing now into the good times, then I'm going to be that much better when times are easier. When times are hard, you kind of just have to bite the bullet and say, it is what it is. I can't control this.
And when times are hard, that's when it's important to have people around you.
Sure.
It's like I knew you needed a little propped up the other day, and because I could hear it in your tone and feel it in your voice.
I was discouraged.
And it's hard because I'm pushing you. You want people to push you, and you want people to support you and prop you up. Yeah. And it's important to have good people around you that will say it's like it's like me having a coach. My coach saying, hey, you're gonna get through this, Chuck. Get out there tomorrow. You're gonna do it. Right. And everybody needs that little bit of motivation. And that's why it's so important to have good friendships, because you need to rely on those when things aren't perfect. And
they're the ones that also don't let you stay. You know, you and I understand that we need those days of where we got to get out, but you would never let me stay in that place of discouragement. Luckily, I knew not to stay in that, probably because I've worked with you so long. But it kind of goes with the season everyone's in, that a good friend is going to be one that says, all right, let's get up, let's try to fix the problem, let's get through another day, and not stay in that position, because if you stay there, you'll never accomplish anything else.
Well, and that's a good thing, too. I've been around you long enough. I've seen you go through some good times and bad times and various different things in life.
Yeah.
And you've seen it with me, in that you recognize when you're around people, you help them. Say, hey, that wasn't meant to be.
Right.
You know, that's always been my philosophy. If it didn't happen this way, it wasn't meant to be, and you have to accept that.
We've seen that with deals, too. Deals fall apart, and then something better comes, and we say, wow, we would have missed out on this deal if we had taken another one.
And sometimes when you force things, it's the wrong thing to do.
That's true.
And you realize, oh gosh, I forced this issue and I shouldn't have. And now, there's a particular deal we're working on right now that we kind of forced a little bit, and it's been a difficult deal, but we're going to get through it. And you have to, mentally, you play your best song, you turn it on the radio, you need to alter your state of mind. When you're down, that's what I try to do. I go on and play stupid music. I'll play Michael Jackson or whatever. It was something that takes me to a time when I was up.
Right.
And I'll play it loudly, and it'll make me feel better. And then all of a sudden your state of mind changes. You can alter your state of mind.
Sure.
And you can focus on negative things, and you'll be depressed at the end of the day. Or you can focus on positive. And sometimes you don't really lose control, but you lose a little control. Sometimes things are out of your control. They bring you down. And that's where you asked me earlier in the conversation. It's up to you to change your state of mind and bring yourself back up. To say, this is temporary. This too shall pass. Yeah. And figure out how I'm going to get through it. And if I told you had to run a 50-mile race, and you knew at the end of 50 miles you were done, you would understand at the third or fourth mile, I got a journey ahead of me.
Right.
And you would know there's an end. Yeah. If I said, Taylor, you're going to run a race and it never ends, it's discouraging, but it does. It ends.
It ends.
COVID ends.
It always ends.
The workout where you're in the gym working out for 30 minutes, it ends, and you feel better.
My
on the other
roommate's
side.
an accountant. We were just talking about this the other day, because accountants have their hard seasons where they're working a lot of hours, but then they have really easy seasons. And she says, I've always wondered why I still do this, why I haven't changed my career. But it's because when I get to the easy season, I forget how hard the hard season was. And I think that's such a reflection of what we're going through now. Is especially you've gone through those hard times, but when you get out of it, the good seasons are good, and you forget about what you went through, but eventually they end.
I really think in a year, this time next year, we're going to be saying, you remember how bad that COVID sucked? I mean, we're going to look back. I mean, knock on wood, we're going to look back and say,
knock on wood.
Boy, I'm so glad to be through that. I mean, COVID has killed Fun Chuck. Fun Chuck does not like wearing masks. I don't like going out. I like seeing people's smiles. I like socializing. I like sitting in a bar talking to people.
We're not our best selves. I like
going to nightclubs, listening to music. I like socializing. I like hugging people. I mean, that gets depressing. I mean, if you're a type of person, you want to give someone a hug. And now sometimes I see people, I give them a hug, they're like, what?
You can tell they don't want it.
You're like, get away. And then I tell them I had COVID. I don't know if I've said that before, but I had COVID. And, it was not that people have it bad. I got lucky I didn't have it that bad. I had headache for the weekend. I had a little bit of a fever. Then 2.5 days of symptoms, and I was fine. A friend of ours has had COVID, and she was fine. And my friend Dr. Ed went in the hospital. So it affects everybody differently. I'm not minimizing the seriousness of it, but I'm minimizing the fact that we like to be close. I mean, we are.
Right. We're social beings.
We're social beings, and that is depressing people too. They're not getting to. Heck, I haven't gone to the movies since February.
That's true, yeah.
And you can't, and even a lot of my friends, they don't want to get together in groups because they're afraid, and all that becomes depressing. I was talking to Amy a little bit ago, and I remember during the recession, I had to take Ambien every single night for months and months and months to sleep. And I've taken a couple lately, to be honest. But I was telling Amy, I said, I've just been sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night, so I've taken Ambien the last 2 nights, so I get 6 hours. And she said she went in the grocery store yesterday, and all the sleep aids were gone.
Oh my gosh!
She said, And it tells me
you.
everybody's having a hard time sleeping
It's
because
true.
people are losing their homes and they're
Wow.
losing their businesses and
Yeah.
their kids can't go to
Hard to-
college and their kids can't. Like, think of this. Like, one of my friends, Bobby, his son is at Duke and he got a scholarship for football. He's an amazing football player. And they can't go watch their son play football. I mean, you're a parent and your kid finally makes it into Duke.
Right.
And you're excited to go watch them play football. And it's both sides. The parents are bummed out they can't go watch their son they're so proud of. And the son doesn't have his parents there to cheer him on.
It's terrible.
And it shows you how important human interaction is that at the baseball fields, they have cardboard cutouts in the stands. And at the basketball games over here at Disney, they have virtual fans.
Because they know it affects the players' attitude on the field when they can see that and hear. I've heard that in Europe they have sound machines, and you can, on your app, you can buy a sound machine in a certain area and you can control, the volume or the screaming or whatever, because that does encourage the players. It's all of this affects our mental state.
And we're a big team. The country is a team. I mean, we want to root for our Orlando Magic. You want to root for your son at Wake Forest. You want to root for your favorite football team. We want to do that and interact. And it's causing people to be depressed. But it stinks. I mean, when I was racing this weekend, it would have been so much fun to have a bunch of people out there, because then, it was fun me having Dale and Larry there.
Yeah.
2 people there, someone to root me on, to say, go Chuck, go.
Yeah.
And you want that. You want people to help you up. And so, really what I want to convey this week is that it's a hard time on everybody. Everybody's at different levels, and I get that. And but we create a lot of jobs, and for me, it's so important to get our projects going, to create the jobs, to keep the business running forward, as hard as it is. And the biggest thing, I would tell anybody is, have faith in your God, have faith in yourself, have faith in the people around you, that you're going to get through it. It is a season. You and I have talked about seasons before. It's a season. It's a storm. We're going to get through it. I mean,
Right.
I am convincing myself as I'm telling you that I know I'm going to get through this. I know there's still, as positive as I'm trying to be, I know that next week's going to be a hard time again. Our hotel is losing so much money, and I was just told today how much money we lost this month. I mean, it's like I look at it, I go, oh my God, we're losing that much money. And what do? You have faith that, tomorrow's going to turn around. It may not be tomorrow, it may be October, it may be March of next year. Yeah. But to have faith in yourself and not get mired down in the depression, just to believe in yourself But
it takes a strong person to make those decisions. I really think that is strength. And Larry and I, one of our colleagues, was saying we would not be here. He and I would not be here if it weren't for your choice to have that attitude, the optimism that you have, that sometimes people look at and go, there's no way, why would he touch that project? The Colony is a perfect example. I mean, it's been years and years and years, and other people don't have the strength to stick with it, and you have. So I think that really does affect your performance later on, is being strong and choosing to just get up and take the next step forward.
And that's why I like doing these Chuck Chats. I get tons of people hit me up on Instagram and different things and say, how did you do this? How did you do that? And it is a blessing that I have in my life that I do convince myself to plow forward. But I'm not infallible either. I have my moments where I get down, I get depressed, and I've got to just convince myself, hey, there's light on the other side. Keep pushing through. There's always a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. All these things that you tell yourself, the sun will come up tomorrow. I'm in a storm. I'll get out of the storm. Next year's going to be a better year. Make your toast New Year's Eve. You got to make yourself do these things. And I'm glad through the Chuck Chats that I can share that I've had the hard time, and I've convinced myself to get out of the hard time. And then when I see someone like yourself, if you're having a bad day, not to pile on, to try to uplift your day and make you feel better. Screw it, let's just go get a drink. The work will always be there tomorrow.
Larry came into my office last night. We were the last 2 in the office. Just came in with a drink for me. I appreciated that so much.
And that's good human spirit.
And we just wrapped up our work, and then we, called it a night. But right, you have to do, and everybody has to be there for each other. I mean, I think that you hit the nail on the head by saying, really, you got to surround yourself with people who are going to encourage you and motivate you, because everybody's struggling right now.
And another thing that's tough today is the mask. I mean, aside from us doing them for a health reason, you can't see people's faces. You can't see them smiling.
I smile 3 times as hard when I'm in stores because I want them to
people
know I'm
know.
smiling. I'm like, I smile so thick.
I know. I say so often, we'll go out to dinner and I'll say, can you just show me your smile one second?
I know.
And it's just like, just because
You can't see any expression.
it's what connects you to another person. And so I just felt compelled today to talk about this because, I know everybody is going through a hard time. And, I call my friends, how are you doing? You okay? And, because you want to encourage them, hey, just hang on. We're going to get through it. And, everything is meant to happen the way it does, even though we don't like it. I've said that. But we're going to get through it. And don't give up. Get up.
Yeah,
Listen
and
to
also
music.
be tough. I think, unfortunately, right now, we have to stop overthinking, and we have to just understand we're all in this together. We're all fighting the same fight, well, in different levels, but being there for each other and encouraging. You said you call your friends. It's so important to realize I'm struggling, but other people are struggling. How can I help them too? And it helps yourself. I think you feel better when you're reaching out to other people.
And the other part is focus on what you can control. The one thing I can control is I know I can go hang out by the pool or out by the lake or go to the park on Saturday and just get some friends and get together and have drinks, listen to music, laugh. Do the things. That's what people are doing now. Is they're spending more time at the beach and things like that. Is do the things that you can do that will still lighten up your life, that you can have fun. Because it doesn't take any money or anything to go sit down with 6 friends and just stare at the water or sit at a park and laugh and cut up. And you can put problems on hold. You come back, your problems are going to be with you, but you can put them on hold and move on. And even if it's temporary, but it boosts your mental state. And I'm doing the same thing. This weekend I just want to take off. I want to relax. I want to listen to music. I want to forget about the issues and come in Monday morning or Tuesday. Monday's holiday. Come in with an open mind that I'm going to work. They say it in the Navy SEALs: work the problem. Work one problem at a time. Everything is individual. You eat that elephant one bite at a time, and you will get through it. And I know you're going to get through everything you're doing. I'm going to get through everything I'm doing. We're all going to get through everything we're going through. And next year, hopefully, we can celebrate that we're beyond this and beyond all the crazy election stuff and beyond COVID and beyond riots and beyond everything. And then we can go back to hopefully being a normal world next year.
That's true.
So,
hopefully.
Anyhow, until next week, I will see you guys later. Take care.